Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to our first episode of Smoke Signals with Sosa, a show where we're scouring the earth for the hardest hitting, most intense, pepperiest cigars the industry has to offer. And we're going to smoke them together. We're going to see how hard they hit. We're going to rate them. And this should be a great time. Today, I figured it'd be only fitting if we start with the cigar that changed everything for me. I used to be a normal person like you. I used to smoke regular cigars like everybody else. In fact, sometimes I still do, and I still quite enjoy something more subtle with a little more nuanced flavors and stuff like that. But for the most part, I'm really after the hard-hitting cigars, right? I mean, you figure everyone's palate is different. Everyone's palate can change throughout the day. What you do to yourself, like what I do to myself, from morning to evening time can be completely different, right? Some people may start with a nice frittata and perhaps a tea and continue their day and eat lightly and healthy and make great choices for themselves, drinking lots of water and such. That's not what I do, okay? I like greasy food. I like pork roll, bacon. We'll start our day with that. By lunchtime, I'm having a burger or something greasy that's been deep fried. I'm drinking beer and bourbon, lots of whiskey, especially rye. I like things that are, you know, the normal person might not say, I want that, but that's me. That's who I am as a person. It is what it is. That might not be you, but that's who I am. And so my palate usually likes something that's a little bit more rough by the evening, something that has a little more oomph. And it brings us to our first cigar, the H99 Liga Privada Phineas Gage. This was given to me by a friend a while back, and it took me some time to smoke it. And when I finally got to it, I said, oh, you know, I love a Lancero. I love a Lancero. Let's give this a try. And so I had my tent back then. And pretty soon you'll see that a few weeks from now. It'll be too cold to sit out here on my glorious balcony. And so I'll have my tent up and it'll be heated and it'll be comfortable because I do not like the cold. But here on the East Coast, I'm in Pennsylvania, it can get quite cold in the winter. Phineas Gage is a Corojo hybrid grown in the Connecticut River Valley. It has not a lot of oil, but a nice sheen on the wrapper. The smell is mostly really worn leather and some barnyard, nothing crazy. But let's give this a little snip. And we'll get right into it. Ooh, cold draw's got a little hint of pepper. Some earthiness there, lots of leather, nothing really wild off the rip. It's cold out here. My lighter doesn't even want to comply. There we go. So the Phineas Gage, like I said, has a hybrid Corojo wrapper that was grown in the Connecticut River Valley. It's named after Phineas Gage, who was a foreman in the railroad. I want to say the 18-somethings, maybe early 1900s. I don't remember off the top of my head right now. My lighter's cold. She doesn't want to play along. The fascinating story about Phineas Gage is that there was an accidental explosion on site, and he got a railroad spike that went in the left side of his jaw and came out the top of his head. I believe they used him to experiment on lots of neuroscience, probably, I think it was the first lobotomy or something, and changed the face of neuroscience. This cigar changed my life. I thought I was smoking bold cigars until I smoked this one. And the reason I say that is we're going to feel a little bit of intensity. And obviously, I've had this before, as I said. That's why we started with this one. Well, we'll go through it together. And I hope, like me, you guys like to retro. So that's half the fun here. From initial light, right from that first that first retro, we got a little bit of a tear, which is a great start. I love that. That's how you know it's going to be good. I'm getting like a coffee-esque notes, definitely some earth, I don't know if you can hear the sparrows over here. They're like beating the shit out of each other up there. Retro Sting out of 10 is probably on a hard 5, teetering on a 6, which right from the beginning of the stick, that's a good sign, because we know it's going to get more intense as we go. On the palate, it's semi-sweet with that dry, earthy coffee thing going on. I'm going to be honest with you, I probably won't be able to pinpoint some of the most, I'm not going to be one of those reviewers that tells you, you know, there's whispers of cardamom and flutters of whatever. I'm going to give you the things that I taste, and you might not taste this, and that's okay. Like I said in the beginning, everybody's palate's different. What hits for you might not hit for me. What hits for me might not hit for you, but that's not the purpose of why we're here, right? I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm not telling you to go out and pick stuff up. But if you're curious about the bolder stuff, if you like the pain, and if you enjoy the spice, the pepper, you might enjoy some of the ones we smoke here. Already the retro has gone back down to possibly a 2 or 3 out of 10. Either that or I don't feel it anymore. But there's no more sting there. And now we're getting more of those softer flavors. A little more cocoa, leather still present, slightly, but that coffee thing is there. Earthiness, very enjoyable. I do love this cigar. So I guess we'll do that thing that most of us do, and I'll continue smoking this down through the first third, and we'll come back and talk about it. So we're coming into the back end of the first third here. And as you can see, the cigar is starting to burn a little wonky. So I am going to ash it just to try and give it a chance to fix itself before I have to touch it up. The ash is grayish white, mostly gray, a little bit of black in there. It is toothy, hard to see probably from that angle, but there is a lot of those nice toothy bumps in the ash. It came to a dramatic point just now after ashing it, so I don't know if that's because I'm smoking too fast, or some people say it's because of that, or because of the amount of Ligero in the blend. I know that Ligero usually has more oils and I think tends to burn slower, so that kind of gives you an idea of what's inside this bad boy. Quite enjoyable. Throughout the first third, I found that same driver, which is that dry coffee, was still kind of always there with that earth and spice. Not quite as intense, peppery as we started, right? We're still at about a 2-3 on the retro. There's a little bit of a cocoa thing going on, slightly, and a nice slight sweetness that's starting to creep into the back as we exit the first third and start entering the second. Now, don't get me wrong, if memory serves me correctly, and I've had more than a few of these, as hard as they were to find, it will start to build up in intensity again. It's I'm like leaning back and getting comfortable. It is going to build up in intensity again. It's going to continue to do so. It starts off, and it's listed very medium full. Starts off very medium. If it does what it's supposed to do, it should be full by the end. But we're just only one way to find out, right? We're just going to keep on going. So I'm going to smoke through the second third here, and I'll come back and meet you in a bit. All right, well, we're coming out of the second third, starting to ease into the final third here. The burn line is doing great. The cigar is performing wonderfully. It did fix itself. I didn't have to touch anything up. The ash doesn't hang on like other cigars. I mean, but I don't think really I've ever had a Lancero where the whole cigar was ash, or even half of it. Usually every inch or so it flakes off. So if you're dressed nice, if you're wearing nice pants, save your lap, go ahead and ash that bad boy often, because it will fall. Flavor notes in the second, third, man. The spice started to build up slightly on the retro, but still at around a solid 3, creeping into a 4, nothing crazy. There's more cocoa, less of that earth and spice. The sweetness still subtle. It's not like building up, but it's ever present, so it's like nice. You're not like overwhelmed with anything too dry or too harsh. That dry coffee flavor is still there. Nicotine is slowly starting to ramp up. I wanted to keep my palate fresh for this, even though I've had a bajillion of these. Well, maybe not that many, but I've had a few. I mean, like I said in the beginning, this was a cigar that changed my life. This cigar I've smoked a few of, but I fell in love with, didn't realize how limited it was when I started searching for it. But every time I catch it in a sampler pack or even by itself, if somebody has it, I snag them. It took me a while, a good while, a lot of searching the Google pages to find myself a box. And I did find myself a box, and I'm happy that I have it because it's one of my favorite cigars. I mean, I love a Lancero, like I said, and even though this one is, I think it's 7x40, so it's a little bit thicker on the ring gauge for a Lancero, it's still just a great cigar, right? And if you want to taste a wrapper leaf, Lanceros are the way to go. Coronas, petite Coronas. The thinner the ring gauge typically means less filler, more wrapper leaf. And so I highly recommend those Vitolas if you want to taste the wrapper leaf. And actually, for any cigar, especially the H99, if you've smoked other Vitolas of the H99 by Liga Privada, this is a great example. If you get one of these and you smoke through the whole set, if you will, this is a great example of how the Vitolas change this cigar, because by the time you get to this, you'll notice the difference of all the other ones that you've smoked. This one hits a little harder. You get more of that pepper from the Corojo leaf. You get more of those strength notes. And because there's less filler, you wind up getting a more compact version of all the other flavors and complexities you get from the bigger Vitolas, so that it fits in this little size. I didn't eat, like I said. I wanted to keep a clean palate. So I definitely noticed the nicotine ramping up. It's a little bit of a belly rumbler. It's not like I got the BGs right now or anything. My first experience, those that know me will tell you, they'll tell you the story. I've told the story many a times, where it did actually hit me that hard. First one I had, I was not ready for the pepper. In the beginning, I told you I was happy with a little bit of the tear that was coming from the retro. First one, that lingered for a lot longer for me. And by the time I got to where we are now, even sooner actually, I was in full BG mode, full bubble guts. But right now, I'm just kind of hanging. I love this cigar. I'm not going to say I'm immune to it, but I'm fairly comfortable smoking this stick. So yeah, I'm going to continue smoking past the band, into the nub, and then I'll come back with my final thoughts. I'll see you soon. All right, well, we're reaching the end of the final third, getting into nub territory. I took the band off just a few moments ago. What I like is that the band started to get nice and loose as the burn line approached it, which was great because that lets me know that there was no fear of ripping the wrapper or damaging any part of the cigar. It started to just kind of slide on the cigar, and I was like, oh, perfect. And as we got a little bit closer, I just took it right off. Final third, same spice, same flavors, right? Cocoa, spice, coffee, earthiness were all there, prevalent. The sting on the retro was a persistent 4. We got a little sting. We got a couple of moments there where my eye almost brought a tear, a little bit of a welling, but no tear fell. I don't know if it's just because, like I said, I've smoked a bunch of these. I've become more immune to it. The smoke production has been solid throughout. I can't complain about that. Always a good amount of smoke, nice amount on the retro, still lingering on the palate. So that texture is nice. I love the way this thing smokes. Again, I'm a little biased, right? Nicotine and sweetness definitely start to build up. Coffee becomes the dominating flavor as you start getting to the end. And I will say, in hindsight, coffee probably would have been a delicious pairing. But for the sake of this video, like I said, I came at it on an empty stomach. Nothing on the tongue. I haven't had anything to drink or eat other than my morning ritual, which is a Red Bull. I wanted something that just give me some energy, wake me up. Anyone that knows me knows I'm not entirely a morning person, but I have little kids, one of whom is in school, and so morning time is the best time for me to do these videos. Highly recommend this if you've never had it. Definitely give it a try if you find one. Like I said, I know there's a sampler that comes with one of every Vitola, including this one if you can find it. I'm not going to tell you where for obvious reasons. YouTube is not incredibly tobacco friendly for a multitude of reasons. Nicotine didn't quite give me the hiccups or the BGs, but I did get a little bit of a gurgle as we got closer to the nub. All in all, a wonderful stick, full of rich spice, nice sting on the retro, good amount of nicotine. I would definitely recommend you try it if you've never tried it. If it's not your thing, I get it, still try it anyway. I always say, cigars are like Pokemon. You got to smoke them all, and why not? And again, remember, everybody's palate's different. What might hit for me might not hit for you. But why not try it, right? Why not? I'm glad I did. Changed my life. I'm glad I snagged a box. And I'm still going to hoard as many as I find from here until infinity, because like most cigars, especially limited editions, one day they'll be all gone, right? So please, if you have any recommendations, any cigars that you think would hit for this venture, for this journey, any cigars that you think are incredibly strong, incredibly peppery, incredibly punishing, incredibly full of nicotine, power punching sticks, leave them in the comments. I will be searching the comments for recommendations and taking notes. We'll try them on future episodes. And yeah, this has been really fun for me. Thanks for joining me on my journey. I'm going to finish this up here and go on with the rest of my day. We'll see you on the next one.